I'm Polly LaBarre, and I'm looking forward to spending some time with you at SAMA's 50th annual conference down in Orlando in May. I've spent the better part of the last 2 decades traveling the globe in search of the most adventuresome and high-impact leaders, thinkers, and doers, spending a lot of time on the fringe with the Mavericks, the heretics, and sometimes lunatics who are standing up to the status quo and inventing the future. And all the while, I've been building insight into the crucial question: how do we make our organizations truly resilient, endlessly inventive, and genuinely inspiring? And I hope to generate as much energy and excitement and urgency around that question as possible when I'm with you in Orlando in May, and to really share some practical and radically practical approaches to wrestling with that question that I've gleaned insights on over the years studying it. And in the process, I'd like to take you on a little journey around the fringe. Now, why go there? Why visit the fringe? Well, that's where the future starts. It doesn't start in the center or at corporate headquarters or in the mainstream. It starts at the edges, at the extremes. And if you want to truly understand how the future is unfolding, you have to go pretty far afield. Now, if it seems pretty comfortable to stay with the status quo, if you're not that interested in visiting the fringe, I always ask people to ask themselves the question, are we capable of changing as fast as the world is changing? Are we capturing more than our fair share of opportunity? Do we continuously surprise and delight our customers and surprise our competitors by the same token? Are we capable of attracting the best talent in the world and more than our fair share of the best talent? And are we capable of reinventing ourselves again and again without going through the valley of the shadow of death? Now, if your answer to those questions is not really, don't be too tough on yourself. It's the answer for most leaders in most industries and most organizations today, and there's a reason for it. The modern organization was invented more than a century ago to solve for very different challenges, to maximize standardization, specialization, predictability, and control. And revving up the engines of the industrial economy and mass production required strapping flesh and blood, free-thinking human beings in the industrial straitjacket of institutional obedience. And we've never really lost that factory mentality, even to this day. If we want today everyone's full imagination, passion, inspiration, if we want organizations that are adaptable and resilient, if we want to be continuously innovative and inventive, we fundamentally have to rethink: how do we manage our organizations? How do we define the work of leadership? How do we design work itself? And how do we measure value? And to get at the heart of that big question, I suggest that leaders and organizations today really have to wrestle quite seriously with 3 big questions. And the first one is, how do we create connections? Connections with our people, with our customers, with our partners, with our wider community. Connections that are deeply human, enduring, inspiring, and even elevating. How do we make that happen? Second, how do we create organizations that are as human as the human beings who work within them? How do we develop environments and systems for work that are capable of unleashing everybody's best gifts every day? That imagination, initiative, passion that every leader is asking for today. Those human gifts that can't be commanded from on high, that can only be invited and inspired. And finally, how do you create a genuine culture of innovation, where innovation is built into the DNA of the organization? It's an everyday, everywhere, every person activity. How do you switch on every single individual in the organization so they feel like they're contributing, so they feel truly relevant to the future direction of the organization? I really look forward to exploring and unpacking those big questions with you, sharing a bunch of exciting stories from the vanguard organizations that I've had the pleasure of spending time with over the last several years, and generating, again, as much energy and excitement and urgency around these questions as possible. See you in Orlando.